Yeah, we have over 1,500 molds. There's 75 sailfish molds alone. Marlin molds. We have, blue marlin from, 100 pounds to 1,100 pounds. Black marlin, we have some giant black marlin. I have a 1,600 pound black marlin. We've got a giant bluefin tuna that we did. No one would surrender the fish, so it's actually a sculpture. But I mean, I put every scale on that. I built it up in clay, and of course that's a 12-foot fish. It's huge. This tarpon, 96 inches long. It's 8 feet. This is a job that we did. It's a 300-pound tarpon. It was caught off of Africa, and it is the world record fish. These are all the molds that we've built over the 35 years that we've been doing this. And it goes from A to Z. Saltwater and freshwater fish are everywhere. We've got everything from barracudas and bonefish and, all the way through grouper and all the way down into permit, sea trout. We've got this is the world record, IGFA world record sea trout. Sharks of all kinds of sharks and snappers. And, oh my. One of the things that we do a lot of is snook. We do a lot of snook. Striped bass. There's some snook molds. Some of these snook are like 40-pound fish. There's a giant one. That's a big snook. Paddlefish and trout and salmon, rainbows, some steelhead, northern pike and muskie. Here's alligator gar that we did. This is that's just the body. And we've got the head. It's a separate mold. It's a big, giant gar. We did the world's largest alligator gar. It's 327 pounds, and that's the one where Jeremy Wade from River Monsters came, and he wanted to see it, so we pulled the skin out at the time and showed him the skin, and he played with it, and we visited, and they edited into 2012 spring, his first show, showing fishing in the U.S. and fishing for alligator gar. And we still do a few skin mounts like crabs and lobster, and I've done a couple of skin mount fish, recently. We did the alligator gar, we did a skin mount on it. But the bulk of what we do is fiberglass reproductions. We really excel in the fiberglass reproductions. Miami Airport project that we did with Donald Lipsky is on display in Concourse D, the American Airlines wing. That's an international flight wing. And there are 98 displays in geometric shapes of fish, various species of fish. And of course that design is the brainchild of Donald Lipsky, very well-known conceptual artist, contemporary stuff. We did a great big display in San Antonio at the Riverwalk with Donald Lipsky also. And that's the mold, the sculpted creation that we did, and that's the mold that we produced all of the items out of. And it's at the Riverwalk at the Museum Reach area, and it shows 25 fish, long-eared sunfish, normally are about a 7-inch fish, that are 7 feet in length. And those fish light up at night under the bridge, so it's pretty spectacular. People really enjoy going down to the river and watching those lanterns, if they are that, just light up. They're beautiful. The bats come out at night. It's pretty spectacular. So we've been involved in, like I said, some public displays from airports and out in the open, as well as displays that we make that, hang at tackle stores and so forth. That is the world world record black marlin. That fish is 17 feet long almost. It's a huge fish. It's just under 1,700 pounds. That's a monster. Yeah, it's quite the project to produce. It takes me about, a week of solid work with 3 guys working on that monster marlin to actually make it and get it done and painted and so forth. I mean, these things take a lot of time. And there's hours and hours of work that goes into them. Yeah, we're here at Jetson's Appliance in Fort Pierce, where I was able to build a beautiful display for John. He's a great fan of the fishing world, and he's done fishing around the world. And the design and finished product took a little over a year to do. I started with the empty shell and tried to figure out where everything was going to be, and in the various meetings I had with his son Trey, who was the one that was really instigating the energy behind it. And we have all kinds of fish in here. Cobia, that's the world record cobia. It's a huge, huge fish, 119-pound cobia. Goes out into the leopard rays that are swimming and leaping, and they're just an interesting creature. Carries into a school of Jack Crevalle. Some of the largest Jack Crevalle in the country are caught out here and off our coast in Stewart. And of course, there's a beautiful scene here of the deep water with blue marlin chasing some dolphin, which is a typical food fare for them, and a giant female marlin. This fish is 1,100 pounds, and it's in pursuit, of course, of a dolphin as well. And in looming in the background is always another predator, a mako shark. Kind of makes the display very interesting and attractive. And the display is kind of a food chain if you look at it. The shark preying on the marlin, preying on the dolphin, and of course the dolphin preying on the little flying fish. This is a display that so many people that are in the fishing world recognize as the ball of bait. That's the bait that's schooled up into a circle, into a cluster. This is the world record wahoo. The fish was molded 2 times. I spent 3 days building a mold off of this wahoo. It's a woman's 50-pound world record, 154-pound fish that was caught in San Salvador in the Bahamas and was frozen and flown back. I like to be real creative with my fish shapes so they look like they're real alive, as opposed to just typical what you see on the wall. When we do displays like this, I want the fish to look like they're alive, I've had the pleasure to be able to win 3 world championships in the time that I've been doing fish mounts. I've been considered one of the top artists in the country and the world in fiberglass fish reproductions. Bass Pro Shops store on the Turnpike Extension Road going to the Keys. It's called the Dolphin Mall. That Bass Pro store was done 6 years ago when it was open. They ordered about 700 fish, and they created an atmosphere in there of a sunken ship. So when you walk in, there's kind of a sunken ship theme in the center, and then various fish displays that are scattered throughout their store. They have, of course, a huge store. We did a sailfish for the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. They wanted a sailfish for their display, and they did some research and found that we made a fish that was as close to a living fish as possible. They really wanted something look alive. They didn't want a standard mounted arch curve banana shaped fish. They wanted something with real life in it, and they chose us to do that display. We made that fish and sent it up to them just as a gift, you know, so more children and the public could see how beautiful the fish, sailfish, can really be. They're just absolutely gorgeous creature, and that for the client that wants the very best, certainly we are capable of producing that. And there's lots of companies out there that make a product that's similar to ours, but certainly not at the intensity of the quality and the level of expertise. So, you know, a lot of clients that want beautiful, beautiful stuff that really represents wildlife well choose us to do their work.